Hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of the Market Snapshot series. My name is Rufus Kamau, Markets Analyst at FXPesa. So today we'll be talking about the top highlight events that we are expecting to be moving the markets today. So we'll also be doing some technical analysis, trying to understand what are the prevailing market patterns, what are the potential market opportunities in the markets. And once we cover these, hopefully everyone will trade from an informed perspective. So I can see you guys are already joining. Good morning, Smith FX, and shout out to you for being the first person to join in comment. Can see Stephen Moore is already in the house. Guys, as always, remember that these sessions do not constitute of any form of investment advice. It's not a recommendation to trade, so you should always do your own due diligence. So that being said, I believe we can jump straight into the economic calendar. So we know that the US government went into a shutdown yesterday. And what this basically means is that the BLS, or the Bureau of Labor Statistics in the US, will not be publishing any data because they sent their employees on leave. So this means that as long as the government shutdown holds, there will be no economic data coming for the US economy, which also implies that the Fed is flying blind. So by the time the Fed is making its next decision on interest rates and monetary policy, which will be in the month of October, then it basically means that they will not have the data to make that decision, which means that they will be making a blind decision. So that's a very tough and challenging position to be in. So they expect there to be a lot of uncertainty in the market. So investors don't like uncertainty. And as we discussed on Tuesday, remember we talked about the current government shutdown, where it's happening. And as we all know, the Democrats have a bargaining chip now against Trump. And now they are trying to have more funding, especially on healthcare, to extend the Obamacare plan and have more financing from the government. So far there has been a deadlock, and this is a developing challenge. And as it continues, there's a good chance that the Democrats will eventually get their fair share. And when that happens and the market reopens, then we could be seeing prices normalizing. So yes, we have the economic calendar here, and I'll be trying to show you the calendar. So just give me a sec, trying to make it bigger for your viewing. So just a minute. All right. So today, being Thursday, the 2nd of October, we had a pretty successful month of September, with major assets making new all-time highs. We had gold and silver meeting new highs. SP 500, the Dow Jones, the Nasdaq were all on a very strong bullish momentum last month. And now we enter October. So in October, we expect out of bullish momentum, especially on Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. We also expect that the uncertainty around the US government shutdown could drive gold higher. In the last 3 government shutdowns, gold rallied by about 3% on average. So we expect this to happen in this particular case. So as investors run away from uncertainty and get more into safe haven assets, we could be seeing more bullish momentum happening in gold as well as other precious metals. So today is a bank holiday in China, so we expect low volatility from that side. But then early this morning, we had CPI inflation data coming in from Switzerland, which was down 0.2% as expected. So we didn't have much momentum from that. Then later on, we had the French government budget balance, which worsened to negative 157.4 billion euros. Then the Spanish unemployment change, where we had a big drop in the number of jobs. In this case, a drop of 4.8 thousand jobs. So this compared to the expectation of an increase of 15.4K basically implies a red flag in the Spanish job market. So later on today, we'll be having the Italian monthly unemployment rate. I think this should be out by now. This is at 6% as expected. Then we get the entire Eurozone unemployment rate at midday. So later on in the day, as you can see on the calendar, we still have unemployment claims, but we all know that we will not be getting this data because the Department of Labor Statistics is not working. They have been sent home as a result of the US government shutdown. So we will not be expecting this data. And the same case applies to all major government reports from the US side. So this means that even the official non-farm payrolls tomorrow will not be published because there is no one to do it. These guys will not be working. So this is the first time in a long time that we will not be having non-farm payrolls, especially as a result of US government shutdown. So this basically means that now, if you are approaching the markets, the main focus is on Fed member speeches. For instance, we'll be having FOMC member Logan speaking and FOMC member Goolsbee. So Logan will be speaking at 5:30 p.m. today, and then Goolsbee at 9:30 p.m. So of course they will have a couple of comments, and main focus will be on whether they will be cutting interest rates on the next meeting or not, and how they are affected by the government shutdown, mainly as a result of the BLS closing. So for FOMC member Logan, he's due to speak at the Evolving Energy and Policy Landscape Conference hosted by the University of Texas. So that speech will be super important to a lot of investors. And of course, the Goolsbee speech, he's due to speak in an interview conducted by Fox Business later this evening. So those two members might share some key highlights that could influence the dollar as well as US equities. So other than that, there is a lot more activity happening in the stock market. So I'll be taking you through a journey of quite a number of stocks that are making big news today, and then we see how that goes. So on the Forex side, so far the US dollar is still very weak, whereas the New Zealand dollar is the main gainer for the day, up 0.41% against the USD. The Euro Pound, Australian dollar, and Swiss franc are slightly high, up against the USD. And JPY and Canadian dollar are almost at the same level as at the market open against the dollar. So on the week, the dollar is still the weakest currency, especially as a result of the government shutdown, whereas the biggest beneficiary has been the Japanese yen, which is up 1.67%. So it's also important to note that there will be an election in Japan, that is in their parliament. They will be looking to elect a new prime minister later in the week, and this is expected to influence the performance of the Japanese yen as well as the Nikkei 225 benchmark index, which is the index tracking the performance of the best stocks in Japan. So other than that, there's more updates on the shutdown. So how Trump could use a government shutdown to sabotage his economic agenda. So the federal government might be shut down, but President Trump is making every effort not to let that slow down his economic agenda. The president's economic priorities that are not directly related to the stoppage won't be interrupted, as administration ordered shutdown contingency plans allow for tariff rollouts to continue and a $20 billion bailout for Argentina to remain intact. So the White House also appears to use the funding shortfall as an opportunity to expand Trump's imprint, with the president promising to use expanded powers in a shutdown to potentially fire government workers or even cut programs. That nascent effort is already being likened to the Department of Government Efficiency, formerly led by Elon Musk, with many affixing the moniker Doge 2.0 this time around. So it's part of the White House effort that could grow more ambitious the longer a shutdown lasts, and for now, no aid is in immediate sight. So clearly, you can see signs all over the US. For instance, this photo says this facility is closed due to the federal government shutdown, and this is in reference to Everglades National Park, which was published yesterday. So a lot of government offices have already been closed, and until the deadlock in Congress is resolved, things are going to remain this way. And of course, investors don't like to see this kind of developments. So now one surprising thing that we have seen, stock market today, Dow, SP 500, and Nasdaq futures edge up despite government shutdown. So in previous government shutdowns, we have seen the top indices in the US trade slightly lower during an economic shutdown or a government shutdown. But then this time, especially considering the price action yesterday, we saw indices moving higher and individual stocks are generally moving higher. So meaning that the markets are kind of, I would say, ignoring the government shutdown, or rather taking the shutdown positively. So we'll be following closely on the stock market performance today. So already there's even more development from Japan. The party that ruled Japan for decades is in danger of clambering. So Haruo Tsukamoto's 74-year-old is facing what he calls the hardest political choice of his life: who he could vote for to become Japan's next prime minister, and whether he should keep backing the party that he has supported for decades. So the sixth generation rice farmer in Ibaraki, northeast of Tokyo, is one of the nearly a million rank and file members of Japan's ruling Liberal Democratic Party, eligible to vote in a leadership race on October 4. So October 4 is the official date of the vote. The party has dominated Japanese politics for most of the post-war era, and its leader almost always becomes prime minister. So that hold is slipping, so we'll be expecting more volatility from the Japan side on 4th. So that should be on Saturday. So if you have any positions that you'll be holding on Friday, consider that there will be increased volatility at the market open on Monday. So on other news, White House freezes funds for Democratic states in shutdown slap. So Trump administration freezes $18 billion for New York, home to top Democrats. So $8 billion in green energy projects in Democratic states also frozen. Shutdown affects 750,000 federal workers, some working without pay. Senate again fails to pass stopgap measure. So clearly, it's a heightened political situation. So make sure that you follow closely for more updates from Trump, as well as other leaders from the United States. So on the trading economics calendar, you have quite a good number of updates. European stocks rise further, eyeing new records. So if you're a person who prefers trading European equity indices, such as the DAX, the CAC 40, they are all rallying as of this morning, some of them hitting new record highs. So we'll be looking at that later during the technical analysis part of the presentation. So as for the CPI report from Switzerland, we know that the SNB, or the Swiss National Bank, already mentioned that they are not looking to make changes to the current level of interest rates, which is 0%. So we don't have major shifts in inflation, and now we continue enjoying the strong rally in the Swiss franc, where among the major countries, the Swiss franc has been the biggest gainer against the US dollar. So just to verify, if you come here and compare the performance year to date of major currencies against the USD, then you will notice that the Swiss franc has the biggest gain, up 14.06% against the US dollar. Not because they have high interest rates, their interest rates are at 0%, but because the currency is being treated as a safe haven currency, and that creates out of demand for the Swiss franc, which has led to a very strong rally. So, as we move on, try to highlight the stocks I mentioned earlier. So I'll be starting with Tesla. So Tesla stock extends winning streak ahead of Q3 deliveries as EV credit expiry spurs last-minute buying. So the EV maker's upcoming Q3 delivery report is expected to show about 5% growth, lifted by a surge in US sales before the EV tax credit expired, even as analysts caution the boost may prove temporary. So Tesla gained for a fourth straight session on Wednesday as investors awaited the company's third quarter delivery results due Thursday, which are expected to mark its strongest performance of the year. So Jean Munster, managing partner at Deepwater Asset Management, said in a post on X that Tesla's third quarter deliveries likely grew by about 5%, but noted that much of the gain came from customers advancing purchases before the $7,500 federal EV tax credit expired. He said deliveries would have fallen about 5% without roughly 40,000 vehicles being pulled forward ahead of the deadline. So what this basically means is that as we head into Q4, we already in Q4. Q4 started yesterday. Then Tesla credits are about to expire, which means that if you bought your Tesla in Q3, you'd have enjoyed tax credit, EV tax credit of $7,500. So knowing that that credit will be eliminated by Trump, then it makes more sense to make your purchases earlier, and this could have boosted Tesla's sales in Q3. So Elon Musk will be reporting the deliveries data later in the day, and so far we're already seeing speculations in the stock. So far, the Tesla is up 3.73%. So that is in pre-market trading. As per the close of the market yesterday, Tesla was up 1.19%. And sorry, this is in pre-market trading. So the year-to-date performance is 13.77%, meaning that the stock recently closed from negative to positive performance, and we could be seeing the stock accelerating later in the last quarter of the year. Perhaps could end the year with 30% gains or even more. So on the other hand, another company making big news in the stock market today is Supermicro, or SMCI. So the stock snaps out of a slump, breaks 50-day simple moving average with 9% Supermicro surge. So Supermicro Computer has rebounded nearly 10% after breaking above the 50-day SMA, which had been a resistance point since August. The stock's recovery follows a significant sell-off triggered by disappointing Q2 2025 earnings, which saw a 30% drop in market value. Despite competitive pressures from Alibaba AI chip development, buying support has stabilized SMCI shares around critical support levels. The recent surge indicates renewed investor confidence, but future momentum will depend on addressing governance issues and competition in the AI sector. So if you look at the stock itself, notice how yesterday it managed to gain by 9.3%. And now, if you look at the year-to-date performance, we are back on the bullish momentum, and the stock is up 71.92% since the year started. So that being said, we can also move on. Remember, I mentioned we'll be covering quite a good number of stocks making the news. So next, we move on to Samsung and SK Hynix, companies that are mainly dominant in manufacturing TVs and other equipment. So the two companies made a deal with OpenAI. So the partnership sent Samsung shares to their highest in more than 4 years, and SK Hynix to an all-time high, adding that $7 billion to their combined market cap. So shares of South Korea Samsung Electronics jumped 4.7% and SK Hynix soared 12% on Thursday, bolstered by a deal with OpenAI to support the ChatGPT maker's expansive Stargate artificial intelligence data center project. The partnership, announced late on Wednesday, sent Samsung shares to their highest in more than 4 years and SK Hynix to a new high, adding that 7 billion to their combined market cap. The rally also propelled the benchmark KOSPI index more than 3% to a record. There have been worries about high bandwidth memory chip prices falling next year on intensifying competition, but such worries will be easily resolved by the strategic partnership, said Jeff Kim from KB Securities in a note expecting a surge in demand from the project. So looking at the individual stocks, Samsung Electronics is really up 66.67%, and as per yesterday, 3.49%. So you can already see on this Google page. Next is SK Hynix, which is up 131% year to date. And as per today, you'll notice that it was up 9.86%. So the other shares making big news as of this morning is Intel shares, which surged by 6% on reports of adding AMD as foundry customer. So Intel is in early talks to make chips for AMD, boosting hopes for its foundry revival. Intel gained 6% as AMD considers diversifying away from TSMC to US-based fabricators. So TSMC is short for Taiwan Semiconductor Company, which is the biggest microchip company in the world. So potential AMD deal underscores Intel's bid to regain ground in chip manufacturing. So White House and industry support have also boosted Intel. So over the past 7 weeks, Intel has secured notable backing from government and industry stakeholders. The company has attracted investment dollars and public endorsements from the White House, Nvidia, as well as SoftBank. Intel is also in discussions with Apple for potential support, according to previous reports. The interest in Intel comes as the Trump administration has emphasized its desire to strengthen US-based chip manufacturing. So looking at the individual stock performance, you will notice that year-to-date Intel is up 79%, but you can see that most of these gains have just come in the last couple of weeks. So the stock was mostly trading sideways for the better part of the year, and then since around the 4th of August, all we have been seeing is a very strong bullish momentum, and now the stock is almost 80% up since the year started. So lastly, this one is not one of the best performers, but it's on the negative side. So Netflix retail trader mood dim over cancelled subscription campaign. Analysts believe not many would. So Netflix found itself embroiled in controversy over the remarks made by the creator of one of its shows. So Netflix faces a testing time with influential tech leader Elon Musk joining an online campaign to cancel subscriptions to the streaming service, but analysts believe that only a small number of users might be leaving Netflix. Respectfully, I don't believe a significant number of Netflix subscribers will follow Elon's lead and cancel their Netflix subscriptions. And this is coming from Gary Black, co-founder of investment advisor firm The Future Fund. He argued that Netflix had cancelled Hamish Sales animated series Dead End Paranormal Park in 2023, and the streaming site has not issued an official response to Musk's post. The show is still available on Netflix. So Netflix suffered a lot after Elon Musk said cancel Netflix, and as you can see, at the close of the market yesterday, the stock was down 2.34%. So year to date, Netflix still has a positive performance, up 32.05%. So once this is resolved, we could be seeing Netflix rising again. So that's it on the news side and things that are expected to be moving markets today. And now we'll be doing some technical analysis. So for those who are new to the sessions, remember that we have a completely free beginner course called Novice to Pros. It's available on FXPesa's YouTube. So just go to FXPesa YouTube and then you'll find it under the channels. So here you'll be able to learn basically from introduction to trading and scale all the way up to trading like a pro. So also, if you're here for the first time, you should know that these sessions happen daily from Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. Kenyan time or Nairobi time, East African time. All of them tend to be GMT +3. So make sure to check that out. The sessions are recorded. So even for this particular session, if you want to review it later or you missed a detail and you want to go back, then you'll find them on YouTube under the FXPesa page. Just click on live. And also at the same time, if you're watching on X, it's also recorded on X. So you can always go back to the specific tweet and check out the video. So that being said, I believe now we can jump straight into some technical analysis and try to understand what's cooking. So whether you're watching this on YouTube or whether you're watching on X, I have a question for you guys. What are you trading today? So as I continue with the analysis today, I want to hear from you guys. What are you trading? You can see Delito Simon is already in the house. Good morning. Mwonge Addison from Uganda. Thank you for joining and welcome to the session. Maureen, good morning. Simon Omuchimbu, good morning. Samuel Owino, good question. Will the USD weaken? Also, great commentary from Justas. Good morning to you too. I value your great analysis. Kindly do analysis for pound USD, Euro USD, and gold. Yes, we'll be doing that. Joyce Derito, this must be Kondo. Can see Karin Imali in the house. Omaloa Denodi, Shadrach. Can see Wanjohi. He's already looking at the end. Thank you for the response. So I want to hear for the rest of the reasoners. Where are you? What are you trading today? Just comment. Even on Twitter, you can access the comment section. Apollo trading stocks as always. Headed days these are. You can see Stephen Moore is going for pound USD. So just keep commenting. If you haven't commented on what you trade, you can see more GU traders. So I believe GU has more people. So let's start with the analysis of GU, which is short for pound USD. So I'll be doing a top-down analysis on pound USD. So this is pound USD chart. And as you can see, it has been one of the charts having a very strong rally. So this is where the chart started as at the beginning of the year. So the markets opened here. So pound USD has largely been bullish for the better part of the year, topping around here for the, this was during the month of July, then moving with a very strong pullback and bottoming around here. And this was in the month of August. And then between the July high and August low, market hasn't traded above or below that. So you go to the 4-hour chart, you zoom out, then you're able to see that we also had a recent high here. This was in the month of September, and also a low here still in the month of September. So a key level support and resistance created both in the month of September, and it's very difficult to ignore these highs here. So the highs are between this area here and this area. And if you extend, you can also see it was repeated again here. So that's a key level resistance. And no matter how you try to frame it, we know that a lot of activity can happen in that level. So last week, we started with a bullish momentum and then had a bearish momentum, which went straight into a support area. So it was a more of a 4-week support area. And once we go to that area, a very strong pump happened towards the end of the week. And then this week, we are seeing a continuation of bullish momentum. So if you look at Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all this is bullish momentum. And today, as we enter Thursday, it seems like the market is continuing with that bullish momentum. So another key level to note is around here. So it's easy to identify that this area here was acting as support. Once the support was broken, the market retested and formed another resistance now that the chart is trading below. And once it was broken towards the upper side, the market pulled back and retested this area again. So this basically shows you the amount of trading activity happening around these levels. So now if you move to a smaller time frame, in this case the 30 minutes chart, you notice that the break happened yesterday. The market pulled back to the same area and has attempted to break several times, failing each time. So this implies the likelihood that since the market has retested the lower side and failed, then we could be seeing the market advancing to the next level and testing the next resistance. So in this case, that means that we are most likely headed here, which was a previous high, and now looking to be retested again as the market looks to push higher on the back of a weak dollar. So Euro USD is also doing the same thing. So here we are looking at a chart that we analyzed on Tuesday and decided to target this area here. And it has been a bit slow, especially on Tuesday, Wednesday. But I believe today we could eventually complete the journey and push to this level around 1.17833. So for dollar trading against the Swiss franc, the idea is to keep shorting. Remember, we mentioned that the Swiss franc has been the strongest currency of the year. So whenever we get to this upper trend line, it's so easy to identify short selling opportunities. We already did it last week, and then we saw a very nice drop. Then this week, we're expecting a further drop. So yesterday, there was some kind of reversal to retest the trend line. And now it seems more likely that the market could be headed much lower. So remember, the market opened with a gap, closed the gap, and now we are most likely headed back downwards. So for the dollar trading against the yen, I believe this is very close to being the chart of the day. Mainly because the current price action is indicative of a very strong momentum. So if you look at this area here, I'll try and make this a hollow with much thicker lines. So if this is the price action, then you can identify that this momentum in the last couple of hours is indicative that the sellers may be taking control, which implies a likelihood of the market dropping even further. In this case, potentially dropping to 146.66. So the Nikkei 225 index has been on a very strong bullish momentum. If you look at the daily time frame, it's almost vertical. So in the last couple of weeks, in the last week actually, we had a pullback. So if you go to the 4-hour chart, you'll notice the pullback and how it happened. But now we found some key level support and the market is pumping again. So this implies that we could be having a short-term kind of pullback. So I'll try and explain how I envision it happening. So this doesn't mean that it's going to play out as I say. I'm just saying that there is a likelihood that it plays this way. So from a very strong bearish channel, market had a fast retest, and now we could be seeing yet another retest. So this implies that we could be seeing yet another drop, which would most likely form a trend line of the market now headed higher. And then eventually we see a strong bounce and a continuation higher. So this is a market that has been on a very strong bullish momentum. But half of the second half of last week and the first half of this week, they were mostly bearish. But now we are seeing signs of bullish momentum, considering yesterday's cross and today's momentum. So UK 100 index just found a key level support after hitting a new all-time earlier in the day, all-time high. So this was a new all-time high, and then the market pulled back. So if you go to the 15 minutes chart, I was expecting that we would find support around this area here. But now it seems like the market has found support in a completely different area. In this case, we are looking at this area here. And now we could be seeing the market headed back up to previous highs. So yes, there was some level of panic about 2 hours ago, but now it seems like the buyers are coming back in and are willing to push the UK 100 into a new all-time high, just like we had earlier in the morning. So AUDUSD is in some form of consolidation. So we have to keep tracking this consolidation and also the momentum. So we can basically say without a doubt that this is a market that is moving sideways, and we will only be able to trade once we have a breakout. So we don't have a breakout yet, though there is a likelihood that the breakout happens in this case to the upper side. In this case, there's a good chance that the Australian dollar could strengthen further against the USD and break and move higher. So that's the 1 hour time frame. So notice that we just bounced off a key level resistance. So it's not just the trend line, but also the resistance area. So yes, the market is really struggling to break that resistance, but we could eventually break. So I have seen more traders asking me to analyze gold. So gold is this one asset that sometimes can be in what we call an impulse mode, and sometimes it's in a continuation mode. So consolidation mode. So for instance, a couple of days ago, this was last week, we had a 3-day consolidation, meaning that for 3 consecutive days, gold was neither moving up or down before it eventually made a break and made a very strong rally, forming a new all-time high. So after getting a pullback here, and the pullback was very important because it showed us where to be looking for buys, which was a previous high, now turned into a support. So here we saw gold making a pretty good bounce. So the bounce happened on Tuesday and extended further on Wednesday. And today we are looking at potentially extending the bullish momentum again. So if you go to the 15 minutes chart, we haven't broken above that area yet. But once we have the confirmed break, then we should be expecting gold to rally to yesterday's high and potentially higher, breaking into another new all-time high. So given what we are seeing with the government shutdown and investors are flocking to safe haven assets, there is a good chance that we see a breakout and bullish momentum happening from here. So if that happens, let's say within the hour, then it might be time to look for bullish positions. So silver also have been hitting new highs, hit a new high yesterday, but now from the current price action, it's not very promising. It's a market that is looking more like a triangle-shaped market, basically implying that it's neither going up or down, it's just oscillating between these 2 trend lines. So we also wait for an eventual potential breakout. So oil, we had mentioned on Tuesday that we are bearish. So Wednesday, last day, we continued with the momentum, so go to a target, and now it seems like the market is attempting to break lower. So in this case, even from the daily time frame, the long-term direction for oil is bearish. So this means that we should be looking for more bearish momentum. However, this is a very tricky area to short because there has been some instances of demand around the same area. So if you go for a straight up short selling position, you risk buying at support, and then maybe the market bounces on you from here. So the Nasdaq 100 index has just broken into yet another new all-time high. So even if we had a pretty boring or a pretty slow Tokyo session, we are already seeing some good performance here. So this was Sydney, Australia session. UT 100 was moving higher. Tokyo sideways, and now we enter the London session, and we are seeing an extension of the bullish momentum. So this basically means that we expect more or new all-time highs on the Nasdaq, and the same case applies for the US 30 or the Dow Jones. But now, as we speak, is not the best time to be taking a trade. So it's a market that is also moving sideways. So we wait for the eventual break. And once there's a break, then we know the direction of the trade. So if the break is upper, we go for bullish positions. And if the break is lower, then we go for short selling positions. So SP 500 has also hit a new all-time high. So if you go to the 15 minutes chart, also notice that their Tokyo session wasn't all that impressive. So it was more of a sideways momentum, but Sydney was pretty bullish. So as we enter London, we could be seeing an extension of the same. So Bitcoin has been the best performing asset as of this week, up over 8%. If you go to the 4-hour time frame, you can see the strong bounce here, and now we are headed even much higher. So the Bitcoin all-time high is $124,000. The current price is $118,000, and the last lowest price was $108,000. So there is a good chance that we have already found the bottom, and we are now pumping towards 124K and over as we begin the historical month of October, which has always had a net positive performance for Bitcoin. So when I say a net positive, yes, there has been several Octobers where Bitcoin was on the losing side, but in most cases, Bitcoin makes an average of about 22% gain in the month of October, and about 60% gain in the last quarter of the year. And now that we're in the last quarter and this this trend started yesterday, there's a good chance that we see more upside. So the dollar index is on a 5th day consecutive losing streak. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So with the dollar index being this weak, of course, you expect the majors to continue punishing the dollar. And we had mentioned on Tuesday that we expect a big jump here in New Zealand dollar against USD. So it was a bit slow, so it took 2 days. We eventually got to our target, we had our pullback, and now we are seeing the market pushing even higher, which implies that we go to the previous high as our target. So that area here could be our next target at 0.58707. So European equities take the day for today. So this is the DAX on H4. On H1, you can see it's a very strong bullish momentum. So clearly, it's a market that is really pushing hard to get into new all-time highs. So the last all-time high was around here. So you can see that there is still more room for bullish momentum before we end the week. So from the daily time frame, this is how it looks like. From the 4-hour time frame, if we zoom out, you can see there's still more room to occupy before we get to the next level. So for the EU 50 cash index, we're already into new all-time high in territory. We don't have candlesticks on the left, so any pullbacks will be appreciated. France 40 finally broke above that area here, so making all the big moves towards the upside. So there's a good chance we see a continuation from here. So Swiss 20, we just got to a resistance, and this is on the daily. Then from the 1-hour time frame, you can see an attempt to jump back down once it's being met by more bullish momentum, which implies that we could be seeing some more upside playing out before the end of the week. So Norway stock market index opened with a gap, closed the gap immediately, and bounced. And now we are looking at a market that could potentially extend the rally for the day. So I believe I've covered everything I needed. Netherlands, we have an almost new all-time high. I believe it is. So a very strong momentum from the Netherlands stock market index, and we expect more bullish momentum to continue for the day. Whereas if you look at the Hang Seng index, it made very strong rally. Remember on Tuesday we had projected more bullish momentum towards the previous high. So we already breached that at market open, and we are seeing even more bullish momentum. So lastly, for USD CAD, if you know what a cup and a handle is, then you know that we should be expecting at some point to see the market coming in, getting back to resistance, and if it breaks, then we expect a continuation. So that hasn't played out yet, but we already have our cup and 3/4 of the handle, which means that if we see the market retesting the upper trend line, then the cup and handle pattern will be in the house with us. So that's it for today. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for your time, and I hope to see you on the next session.